Hello, beautiful listeners and viewers. Welcome back to another episode of Heal Your Life Talk Show. And I am so excited to have our guest with us today. Her name is Dallisa. Her website is spiritandspark.com. One of the great things that we have in common, all of us, with Dallisa is her love for the Heal Your Life work, Louise Hay's work, and the book You Can Heal Your Life. And so I'm really excited to see how Dallisa integrates all of that into the work that she does as a fifth generation psychic medium. She is a teacher, spiritual guide. She's devoted to helping people build lifelong relationships with their own tuition. Magic
Thank you.
there. Yeah, just
Beautiful.
great.
Yeah.
Something that you strongly believe in is empowerment and clarity and practical spiritual tools that we can teach people so that they can return to time and time again. And I just think that's incredibly beautiful. And I'm so honored to welcome you to the show.
Thank you so much, Victoria, for having me on your show. I know we're going to have a great conversation, and I appreciate you welcoming me as a psychic medium on your show because it might not be every day that a psychic medium shows up to talk.
You are absolutely right about that. And I have to tell the viewers and listeners our little backstory here because it's so cute. I said to Delisa before we started recording, this is the Heal Your Life talk show. And I need to make sure that what we're sharing is relevant to our viewers. So, what are some of your favorite books? And Delisa shared with me that one of her favorite books is You Can Heal Your Life, which is on the shelf behind her. And at that moment, made the connection that this is actually the Louise Hay You Can Heal Your Life podcast. So don't worry, viewers and listeners, we've got you covered here and are going to just really enjoy this time looking at things from a different perspective. So I'm really excited about that. And I'm not sure where to start, to be honest with you, because I'm not familiar with the type of work that you do. So why don't we just start with how does it work being a psychic? How do those psychic gifts work?
Great question. It's not anything I ever set out to do. I didn't dream about being a psychic medium when I was a kid. But my grandmother had these gifts and her grandmother had them. And so we were always talking about it in her living room when I was growing up. She would talk about the premonitions that she was getting, and she could actually see full body apparitions with her physical eyes and describe who they were and what they were wearing. And so I was always very open to all things spiritual and psychic. But it wasn't until 2015 when all of my gifts dropped in overnight. I was actually at that time, I was a dating coach and a matchmaker, and I had my own company. And all of the gifts dropped in when I was overnight in New York, attending a workshop at the Omega Institute. And it was a
Hmm.
workshop on the study of synchronicity, how everything happens for a reason. And wouldn't you know it, I am the most ironic person you probably ever met because I am at the retreat on the last night of my trip. I was staying at a friend's house, and he just so happened to have a house out in the middle of the woods by the Omega Institute. I go over there and we're visiting and catching up, and he unfortunately gets a phone call. It was a family member letting him know that his aunt had died unexpectedly and she had fallen down a flight of stairs. And, I give my friend my condolences and I go off to the guest bedroom. It was late at night at that point. He goes off to his room. And that night, while I was sleeping, his Aunt Barbara, who had just passed away hours before, I could see her in my dream state. I could see her in that astral plane, and I could see her facial features, her hair, and she wasn't moving her mouth, but through the use of telepathy, I heard her say to me, "Please tell my nephew I'm okay. I made it to the other side." And so the next morning, I delivered the message, and that's where it all started because then I flew back home after that retreat, and my mind was spinning. I'm like, what do I do with this? If Aunt Barbara, who I didn't know, never met, is coming through, like, what else is trying to come through? And so that's how it started. And then I pulled that thread. And so for the last decade, I've been doing a lot of channeling and oracle cards, tarot cards. But these days, my focus has really kind of shifted a bit into more of the inner healing because what I noticed was I'm really good at making predictions And for a while, it's been a lot of world predictions, and we all see those headlines. And I just noticed that it was the same kind of energy over and over again.
Mhm.
What things people were interested in or what was creating the most fear for them. It was the same set of questions. And I had to really take a step back and sit with myself and sit with spirit. And I started receiving a lot of insight and clarity within myself about how about we take this now, this work, and yeah, we can talk about the world and the energy and everything, but how are you going to apply that to your life? Because if I'm just going to tell you some predictions that maybe start sending you into an energy of fear or scarcity, is that going to do you any favors? No, it's not going to do you any favors. And maybe the predictions are just a dopamine hit that you get. And then you just want to hear more and more predictions, maybe because it helps you feel safer. But now I think the work is really about you can feel safe, you can feel worthy, you can feel like you are in flow with life. And that all comes from the inside. And maybe predictions can help to mirror back to you what it is that you're being asked to work on within yourself.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's a much different journey now that I'm on. And I've just kind of recently pivoted over to the inner healing work.
Oh, it's such an important piece. And with what you were saying about Aunt, sorry, what was her name?
Barbara.
Aunt Barbara. I could feel that completely in my body. I like literally felt it in my body. And I think for people, that's an experience that, happens to me often. I think it's an experience that happens to most people often, literally feeling something like that in our body when someone shares something. And it can be as simple as goosebumps or a full body experience. And is that similar to what an indication might be when you are working in a psychic realm, helping people with that inner peace, that inner healing piece?
Yes, and we all have different ways that energy comes in and through us. And just like you said, we might have chills on our arms, or maybe the person next to you is having them on their legs. Well, we all have our own unique experience. But I think everything is energy. And that's how I like to approach it. So, for example, if I had someone that was either virtually or standing in front of me in the same room, and they asked me a question about, why haven't I found the love of my life? I can tune into their energy and notice like where the energy is stuck in their body and then start asking them questions because I'm a very curious person by nature. And so if I can see where that energy is stuck within them, and if that's correlated to a particular chakra, for example, or if it's in the neck or the back, there might be something from the past that's coming up, right? And we all know the book that we've referred to today, You Can Heal Your Life, and the wonderful dictionary that's in the book. And you can look at different body parts and look to see what that's correlating to and an affirmation that you can start using, and that's one of the ways that I love to work as a psychic. But just like you said, we all have these ways of experiencing energy. And I don't think it's just me or a select few that get to see into the future or get nudges intuitively. We actually all have the ability. But it's in my experience that the higher we raise our own frequency, the more information, the more clarity we actually get to access. So I think of it as like a radio dial that we each get
Mhm.
to tune. And that radio dial and that energy is what we're going to be aligned with. And so if we're in a higher state of frequency, which usually comes with much like higher feeling emotions like joy or happiness or
Yes.
even contentment, fulfillment, those are higher on the scale. And so when we're in that kind of feeling, we are more likely to actually have intuitive nudges and have a better idea of what's unfolding in our life. Or, gosh, maybe I should take a different road home tonight from work. Like our intuition is our superpower. And so
Yes.
as we raise our frequency, we just have more access to it.
100% yes to everything you said. I completely agree with that. And like that radio dial, and when we are in those higher states of emotion, joy, it becomes more fine-tuned. Um, when we are, say we're like right on the money with our radio dial and we're really fine-tuned, what throws us off? Do you know the answer to that?
There's actually three core energies that I've learned about years ago from a mentor of mine. And I'd love to share those because when I learned about those, it completely changed my life. Completely. So now, anytime I am upset about something, I actually try to see that as like treasure. Like, ooh, I'm upset. Now I get to figure out why. And so this mentor of mine said, okay, there's three core energies. So when you're upset, ask yourself which one, two, or all three of these are you experiencing? One is in this moment, I don't feel loved. I don't feel value. I don't feel worthy. So that core energy is approval.
Okay.
The next core energy is there's something about this that makes me feel uneasy. I don't feel safe. So the next one is safety. So approval and safety. And then the last one is there is something about this that's getting underneath my skin because I don't feel like I have control of this and I want to have control. So control is the third one. So approval, safety, and control. And I tell you what, I have been using those three core energies and reflecting those back to myself for years. There has never been one time where I have felt an emotion that I wanted to dig into where I couldn't tie it back to one of those three. Approval and control are big. And a lot of people deal with, trying to understand themselves or love themselves more. They don't feel worthy of a number of things that they would like to have in their life. So approval comes up a lot, and control probably comes up just as much because people have this sense of if I know, if I control, then my life is easier. It's not true, but it's just this illusion that we have
Right.
of having this control and feeling better about our lives. But I challenge everybody watching and listening to try out approval, safety, and control for themselves. And the way that, if you're like, oh, it's approval, then the simple act of even just acknowledging what it is already starts to like dissipate the energy and you'll start to feel calmer. But you're supposed to give the energy back to yourself, whatever one or two or three you've identified. So, for example, if it's approval, give yourself great self talk and positive affirmations. Go do something nice for yourself. If it's safety, take yourself with your eyes closed back into a memory that you have where you just felt really safe in that memory. And then for control, close your eyes and take yourself back to a time where you really felt like life was in flow and just feel yourself back in that memory. And that's how you can calm the emotional energy that you're feeling.
I'm really glad that you've shared these skills with the viewers and listeners, and would just love to point out to everyone that these are internal skills. These are internal um, resources that each of us has within us. And so, what you're directing people to do is go within and knowing that the answers are there.
Yes, we have everything inside of us. I think part of this realization for me with my journey of being a psychic is that you already have everything inside of you. You don't need to go to someone else or have external validation in order for you to have the answer. It's already there. I think most of the time, though, what I've seen is somebody may not want to know the truth. And so maybe it's easier to ask someone else so that they don't have to face it themselves. And I'll tell you, in the thousands of people I've worked with, most of the time when they have a question that they're asking, they already know the answer. What they really are doing is they're coming to me to get permission. And I am here to say you do not need permission from anyone at all. I want you to go living your best life, trust your intuition, do the inner work, and know that everything is unfolding in divine timing. And I think that this is about reclaiming your own power from within and not discounting it and not giving it away to other people just to feel a little bit better in that moment.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. 100%. I just love how in tune we are, and know that the viewers and the listeners will be taking away so many gems. And if they're like me, they're making notes madly as you're speaking as well. How do you feel about, for example, when people are using substances, let's say sugar, nicotine, alcohol, do you think that that affects our intuition or anything like that?
Amazing question. Yes, I do think it affects us because in doing sessions over the years and looking at someone's energy, like, for example, I can see if they have an energy of addiction. So, addiction comes in all different kinds of forms, and that addiction energy can live in different parts of the body. Usually, it will come in the back of the neck. Or in the back of the person. But yes, each thing that we take in, even if we're eating really healthy, whole foods, organic fruits and vegetables, that has its own energy too. And the higher the frequency is that we are taking into our body, then the higher our own personal vibration is. And then that unlocks more of that intuition. So, yes, everything we ingest, everything we do, even the act of, like, let's say you have a gambling addiction, then even though you're not taking something into your physical body, just the act of the addiction itself is an energy and will often live inside of the body.
I agree completely. And, even things like social media or television, movies, whatever it is that we are putting into our body, affecting that vibration. Something I like to talk to about with people, and I'd love to know if you agree and how you would approach it, is the people who are feeling despair, depression, anger, resentment, but they want to be in this place of high vibration and joy. How do you advise people to be climbing that ladder?
I think it starts with self love. I think it starts with forgiveness, forgiveness of yourself and everything you've ever done that you feel like you need to forgive yourself for. And then considering forgiveness for other people that have come across your pathway. One of the things that I've liked to do when I'm triggered by someone in my life is try to really see them and shift the perspective into them being a guide and a teacher for me in this life. And
Yes.
that there is a lot that they're teaching me. It might feel painful or it might feel really hard, but ultimately, those are the relationships that I think when we get to the end of our life, that we look back, hopefully with fondness, because of how much opportunity they gave us to learn and heal ourselves. And so forgiveness and grace, I think, is a big part of self-love. And I think affirmations can work. My suggestion to people is say them, but mean them. Like when you
Yes.
say them, like really feel the words, like with each syllable that you say, like feel it through all of your body from head to toe and stand in front of the mirror and say it to yourself and feel it because you were born worthy. So, whatever happened along the way that made you feel like you were knocked down or you're not good enough, then I'm here today to say you are worthy, you are good enough. You don't have to prove that to anyone. I just want you to show it to yourself.
Ah, so beautifully said. You are definitely part of the Heal Your Life family. With what you are helping people to understand about themselves and how to change their vibration. So now I have some curious questions, because I just want to know. Um, Typically, why do people contact you? Are people typically contacting you because they're wanting to make a connection with someone from their past?
Usually, people come to me because there's something about their life that they want to sort out and they haven't been able to do it yet. And
Mm,
because I can see layers of energy they often say, wow, there's so much progress we made, in this short amount of time. So that would be one group that comes to me. And frankly, a lot of people that have self-worth issues because I had them myself. And so I think the universe sends them to me because I understand them. But I also get a lot of people that are interested in developing their own intuition, developing their own abilities because they're starting to recognize, like, I do have this inside of me. I can do this. And I love teaching people how to do that. And then the third bucket would be business. I've owned different businesses. Like I said, I was never planning on being a psychic medium, but here I am. And so I love coaching people that are in like spiritual businesses or they want to start one because oftentimes they're like, I don't even know where to start. And so I
Yeah.
love coaching them on how to do it and how to reach an audience and share their gifts with the world in a way that helps them feel fulfilled.
I am absolutely passionate about that too. So often we can, as entrepreneurs who happen to work in the spiritual realm, um, discount our value in that we maybe don't see what we do as a true business. And we are giving these gifts just like a musician is given theirs. They work to hone and develop their skills as a musician. We develop our skills as spiritual leaders and people who help people to learn and reveal more about themselves. And to be able to help people be able to do what they're passionate about and also to earn a good living while doing so, I think is a real service to the world. So good for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a pure delight to be able to offer that to practitioners and soon to be practitioners along the way. So, yeah, it's been very enjoyable.
Oh, good for you. That's great. What do you think the most common question that you get asked is?
Oh gosh, these days it's about the world, and what
If you know the
countries.
answer, please tell us.
Well, this is the dismantling phase. And that's what spirits described it as. So all of the systems that we know of that we touch, day-to-day lives or on a regular basis are all either dismantling or under renegotiation. So that's the period we're in right now. But I do see the light at the end of the tunnel. We are going to eventually get through this. But I think a lot of us, especially those listening to your show, are the way showers that are going to be tapped on the shoulder to say, okay, how do we rebuild this? How do we do this in more of a conscious way? So I'm really excited about that. So these days, it's people that are afraid of what they see in the news headlines and they just want to know, like, am I going to be okay?
Yeah.
And my usual response is you have intuition. You will feel if something feels off. You have to trust that because
Yes.
that is a guiding force inside of you that if it says, don't go to that event tonight, and you don't know why, and suddenly it drops in out of the blue, sit with it for a minute and consider it and notice if it's fear or if it's a subtle intuitive download that just dropped in. But I think our intuition saves us so many times from different roadblocks or potential disasters because we felt that nudge to either not do something or go in a different direction.
Yes. Absolutely. And just being in tune to that. And the more in tune we become and the more we listen, the more we trust ourselves.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. I asked you before the show what your favorite quote is, and you said, live life as if everything is rigged in your favor, which is a Rumi quote. Love this so much. I love the quote. I'm not sure who it comes from. I think it might be Louise's that the universe is conspiring in my favor. So very similar translations there. Everything's rigged in your favor. The universe is conspiring in my favor. What a beautiful way to live.
Well, yeah. And for me, that quote, live life as if everything is rigged in your favor. It means the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between. Because, like I was saying earlier about, we have these people that come into our lives that I think are guides and teachers for us. The same goes for our life experiences. When we go through a challenge, of course, we don't like going through the challenge at the time, But that is literally what gives us our soul growth and evolution here on this very advanced Earth school. So we have to go through kind of the peaks and the valleys. And the more inner work that we do, it feels like the valleys, the low valleys that we go through, don't feel as hard or painful
Yes.
when we're doing the inner work because we have more of those tools of resiliency that live inside of us. So we know that we are going to get through it, you know. We can only be in one frequency at a time. And I often like to say, you can only be in fear or in faith in any given moment. And so, if you are in a state of fear, ask yourself, okay, how can I pivot in this moment back to an energy of faith and remembering that everything is rigged in my favor?
Yes. And so it is.
And so it is.
Thank you so much for being on this show. You are welcome to come back anytime. I loved having you here, and I know that the listeners do as well. So thanks once again. Really appreciate you. Keep doing all of the great things you're doing in the world. You are making a difference.
Thank you so much, Victoria. I enjoyed every moment of our conversation. I look forward to doing it again soon.
Thank you.